The world was ending. Best I figured, I had a day or two until the big one. Most people, given the ultimatum that everything they knew was about to end, were reacting as you would expect. The cars full of frantic refugees on the highway a few miles away produced a constant drone occasionally interspersed with the thin, high wail of an emergency vehicle's siren or the loud crack of gunfire. Hopeless, I knew, but at least it gave everybody something to focus on besides the world crumbling around them. I wasn't out there with them, desperate to go somewhere, anywhere, to get away from the hell that surrounded them. I had been living with my own personal hell for 6 years now, and I knew that running was pointless. Instead of their pathetic panic, I was doing something truly important, mowing my yard. It was a nice yard, big with plenty of green grass and with a dozen trees scattered here and there. Abby would have loved it. Visiting my grandparents on great-grandpa's farm was the highlight of her summers all those years ago. I pushed that thought away and focused back on my work. Ever since the accident, yard work had been a refuge. Losing my wife soon after my daughter left a hole of sorrow and depression that was much easier to tune out when all you could hear was the whir of mower blades. As the past week's shocking revelations delved further into chaos and despair, and as people started dying by the billions, here I was in my yard, on my garden tractor going back and forth, up and down, persistently avoiding my thoughts and ignoring the world around me. Occasionally I would glance up at the sky, instinctively trying to tell the time or check the weather. It was about as useless of an exercise as mowing your yard for the end of the world. Clouds that had once stuck close to the horizon in the direction of the city had transformed over the last week into a pervasive haze of dust, which had an almost eerie effect on the bits of sunlight that filtered through, rendering objects flat and without shadows. As I finished up another row, the ground shook with a low rumble. It had been doing that for a while now, but I wasn't too concerned. What was the point of worrying? I turned to head back up the yard and stopped for a moment beside the house. I had lived alone on this small acreage a short dozen miles west of Sioux Falls, South Dakota for over 6 years now. The acreage, my retreat and refuge, had been my grandparents' home for decades.